Brazil's indigenous tribes are a proud people. They've fought for decades to keep their customs and their way of life. But their toughest battle yet is over land. Armed with arrows and carrying symbolic coffins, protesters recently stormed Brazil's Congress after lawmakers called for a shutdown of the Indian Affairs Agency, the only body that protects indigenous land rights in the country.
Você tem uma bancada evangélica que se junta com uma bancada ruralista para destruir todos os direitos.
Brazil has around 900,000 indigenous people from hundreds of different tribes living in 690 territories, mainly in the Amazon. But indigenous tribes only occupy 1.5% of that land. Some lawmakers argue that's a waste of space. They also say that FUNAI, Brazil's Indian Affairs Agency, often champions illegal land claims. Brazil's government had recently slashed the agency's funding by 40% and fired FUNAI's president when he condemned the cuts. Brazil's weak economy is partly to blame. But despite suffering the worst recession on record, agricultural production is booming, and it's come at a high cost. From sweeping deforestation and logging to large-scale cattle farming, Brazil is seeing its biggest rollback of environmental and indigenous protections in 2 decades. But conservative Congressman Nilson Leitão says,
FUNAI has been overprotective. There are Indians who may want to become miners and producers, and they should have the freedom to decide. The Indians might be living on a big mine, and their people are starving.
If these Brazilian politicians succeed in changing the laws to allow mining on indigenous territories, for example, or to allow roads to be built through them, or military bases to be built in them, or all sorts of other things, or if they succeed in changing the process of mapping out the land, that spells disaster for tribes across the country.
For Brazil's native groups, the fight over land has reignited a war they long thought was over. A battle for survival. Sandra Gatman, The Newsmakers.